Welcome back here on Live Impact News on the WCNC Charlotte app. All right. I'm like out of breath saying this. It's hot.
It's hot.
Like, it's just, I'm just thinking about like leaving
Outside.
the building and going to my car.
Yeah.
And then
But I
cranking
didn't
AC
get to park
up.
in the shade, so it's
Yeah,
gonna
I definitely, when I came back from lunch, I definitely parked in the shade.
You found a shady spot?
One little branch. Hopefully you can.
One little
If
branch.
it's just a branch, I don't think it's going to provide much shade.
It's a effective branch.
Yeah.
If you say so.
I mean, hey, we'll see.
Hey.
We'll see come 5 o'clock. Brittany is skeptical right now.
I'm gonna be getting into the hottest car.
I actually literally,
Oh, yeah.
I'm like thinking right now, like, should I go move
Because
mine?
Carlene Park's like right there in the dead center where the heat is just beaming right.
Because she
They
gets
have
here
these
early.
spots.
But you also are here earlier than most people.
Yeah.
Like, who work
It's okay,
days.
Carlene.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's just
She's
gonna be. It's gonna be.
She's
hot.
here earlier than you.
I know.
That's fine.
She got a
Look,
pretty nice-
I'm not doubting
I
it
need to
at
get
all.
one of the sunshades for my windshield. I do not
Like Miles
have one.
Harris?
I don't have one.
Miles Harris has one.
Miles does. Jane has one.
Jane has
hers.
Yeah, I've never had one. But like,
Greg has one.
Greg has one.
why didn't you just steal it?
Well, because I have a small windshield. I had to get like a specialty one for my size and the little bug. You know what I mean?
Beep, beep.
Beep beep.
Brittany Van Voorhees, is it true that feels like, did I read it right? 105? Is that?
So my forecast is 104.
Okay. I was close.
Okay.
I thought
Yes.
the way you paused, I thought that I was like off by like.
Oh, no. I was just
lot.
going to say, because sometimes people get weird about
Yeah.
like, if Brad goes 103 and I go 104, it's
Yeah.
like, ooh, you're going again, whatever. Or like,
Ooh, you're
Becca had 105, or something if I changed it. 105 is the threshold for a heat advisory.
Okay.
And so we're under that heat advisory. So
Okay.
essentially the National Weather Service, they're saying that they expect somewhere in Mecklenburg County could get up to
Gotcha.
105, which is certainly possible. Part of weather forecasting is recognizing trends and patterns, and so we were 1 or 2 degrees lower than expected yesterday, which is one of the reasons why I was less confident to go 105. But does it really matter? Not really.
at this point now.
Sometimes 102, 103 does matter, just because that's like the threshold to where your body really starts to, get those impacts from heat exhaustion and heat stroke. But 104 is still by far our hottest day of the year, or our highest humidity of the year. I'm gonna break. I said this during the midday, and I kept counting on my fingers. It's the hottest day of the year, the most humid day of the year, so the highest dew point, the highest heat index, and also, wait, I forgot the fourth one. Oh, dang it. Whatever. Maybe I'll remember.
Man.
So, there's a lot. There's a lot going on.
I'm stressed out just thinking about it.
Well,
right
just
now.
know that even though it's going to be hot this weekend, this is the only day I expect us to get potentially to 105.
Thankfully.
Now, will it be nice this weekend? Not necessarily, but we'll get there when we get there. I think kind of a secondary thing, though, we have to talk about today is the fact that we do have a risk for some strong to severe thunderstorms. Very, very traditionally seeing this on a summertime day like today, when there is some kind of trigger. There's a big MCS, mesoscale convective system, that right now is to our north and west, and if that can hold together, essentially that could create some of those scattered showers and thunderstorms. So I think that's kind of the thing that separates us from yesterday, other than higher heat and humidity, but also the risk for storms. We saw one rogue severe thunderstorm warning yesterday, but for the most part, we were all clear from that. Now today, temperatures have already surpassed 93, which was yesterday's high, making it officially the hottest day of the year, so we can say that with confidence. 97 right now in Chirac. We talked about this yesterday with famously hot Columbia. Oftentimes those areas southeast of us are typically hotter. 100 right now for feels like a Monroe, 103 for Lancaster, Chirac the same, 101 in Rockingham. We're at 99 in Charlotte. Yesterday we got to 101. Now I will say 105 Chirac had a couple hours ago. So I would expect us to teeter-totter back and forth between that higher level over the next few hours. So for example, in Charlotte, you could have 104, but it could be up to 110 down there. This is a very, very normal thing. On top of the humidity, we're also going to be hot. I went ahead and bumped us up a degree to 98 just to match the previous record. If we only get to 97, I will not be upset about that because we'll not be as hot. But 1956 was that record high, 12 degrees above average. So again, pretty toasty no matter which way you look. I have no idea why Chirac says 84 right here, because this is
Well, then go to Chirac, everybody. It's nice and cool down there.
I was going to say, this is a futurecast feels like. It's actually a model data, so I have no clue why.
I haven't been to Chirac in over 10 years, so yeah, that makes sense.
It had 110 early. Like some of these numbers are off. Waysboro, Rockingham, that's weird. because this is a model, it's not current, whatever. I'll look at this later. But anyway, so essentially up to 105 possible for most of our area. Again, that's why we're under the heat advisory. So as I mentioned to Nick just a second ago, Saturday, Sunday, still going to be very hot, but more similar to yesterday. So not quite to that heat advisory threshold either day. And then better cloud cover, a few more showers and thunderstorms will help drop us big early next week. So if you're Nick and you're asking yourself, when can I go outside and run? And I wouldn't say feel good, but at least not feel like you were being suffocated or whatever. I think that was the word you used yesterday. It's going to be early next week. You might have some rain, but maybe you want it to be raining because it'll help keep nice and cool. We looked at this yesterday. We talked a little bit about what this map means. It essentially takes into effect the heat, the humidity, and how that impacts people. It also looks at, sometimes elevation change, whether or not some place specifically gets hotter for that reason, urban heat island effect, sometimes even population. So it essentially is looking at the overall impacts from heat, because I know Destiny mentioned this during her story earlier, but heat is still the #1 related weather killer in the United States. And that's an average across all 50 states. So very unfortunate, but that's just the case. So my prediction from a social science standpoint with this is always the fact that people can't see heat. It's not something you can visibly see, where you can see a tornado, you can see storm surge, or whatever the case may be. So on the flip side, that's why we have the same problems too in some of those New England states, cold areas, when it's cold during the winter. So today, we're in red for most of the area. You can see a little bit of purple there for parts of Mecklenburg County. And then as we mentioned yesterday, the shift kind of moves toward our southeastern and eastern communities. So actually both Saturday and Sunday, we've increased that extreme risk. So that's that little purple shading. So again, Charlotte, today's the hottest, but if you live south and east of Charlotte, think Union County, Lancaster County, Chesterfield, even parts of Chester, Anson, Richmond County, all of those places will be under a higher risk Saturday and Sunday. Now, with that being said, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a few showers and thunderstorms possible. There will not be a ton of storms, but any storm that develops does have the chance to be severe. Tomorrow, I expect a little bit less coverage. So again, the heat and humidity is going to dominate, and then a little storm system approaches Sunday. And I think that's when we could see a better risk for scattered showers and thunderstorms. So Sunday, partially helpful for the drought, at least for those areas that do see downpours, but we actually have even better rain chances in the forecast for early next week. Now, if you want to know what the risks are, here you go for that severe weather. It's primarily damaging wind gusts, very typical this time of year. I think this is really funny, actually. The large hail risk, if you see, it's like a tiny, tiny sliver of Ashe County.
It's like a cap.
It previously cut off near the I-40 corridor, and so ended up the Storm Prediction Center obviously trimmed it back. But I just thought it was funny that by trimming it back, it literally kept that tiniest sliver ever. So what I will say for those, so I will say for those folks in Ashe County, do I think you're actually technically at a significant risk for hail? No, but large hail is the size of a quarter. It's about an inch. That's what the classification is for a severe thunderstorm warning. Pea to penny size would be more likely. So with that little sliver, just remember that weather does not care about county lines or anything like that. Same thing with the heat advisory. Just because it didn't affect for Mecklenburg but not Gaston doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be cooler. I need to update this graphic now that we hit 94, but these were the previous hottest days of the year so far. 93 was yesterday. You can see we hit 92 and 91 respectively twice. Most of those were in the month of May, so now June, I guess, is finally catching up. 98 forecast today, 93 and 95 on Sunday. Again, in the extended forecast, as we bring in more clouds and rain early next week. Were you doing the 7-day animation? Look at you. Sometimes I hear that in my nightmares. I wasn't there for the, for the show and I messed something up. It's like having nightmares that you forgot to do your schoolwork. So Monday and Tuesday especially, better rain chances, and we should eventually trend back toward 90. But I think the overall, truthfully, even if Saturday or Sunday got to be as hot as today, I think it's more important to give people a heads up about potentially dangerous heat and then kind of go from there, right? We don't need to necessarily extend the red alerts all throughout those days, because hopefully after yesterday and after today, people know that it's going on. So we'll of course be watching that all throughout the weekend. I'll be here, keeping an eye on any kind of heat, potential dangerous issues, and especially on Sunday with some of those afternoon showers and thunderstorms. So stay safe, stay weather alert, stay hydrated, and if you can take those breaks in the AC, I think that will be very vitally important as we go through today and also into the weekend.
And Brittany will be back at 2:30 with another check of forecast. Because we
maybe
need
we'll already be at 98. Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll see. It's a lot to keep our eyes on. Oh man, I get exhausted just thinking about the heat and just talking about the heat. So
Well, does it make you feel better that it's only
we're just
worse?
we're at the start.
yeah. Thanks guys.